Do you think love can bloom in the dungeon? Welcome back, my name is Jordan, or just the Dreadful DM, and today I just want to talk about love and D&D. This is something that's, been very common nowadays, as we as players, DMs, have left the dungeon of constant meat grinds, dealing with only puzzles and like encounters with fights and different goblins and stuff like this. We move more towards, maybe in real life, dealing with more familial bonds, platonic, romantic, dealing with multiple different situations. So it's not just a like, hey, let me go fight these guys. Like, hey, let me go talk to them. Let me go see what's going on over here. More interactions, more talking, more indulging into the story, and how we might indulge into like love, or how we might faint away from it because it's a little bit weird sometimes when you're playing with your friends and you might be realizing halfway through, oh, I'm flirting with Bob right now. Let me stop. Stuff like that, and how we as players just interact with it. How we, just how it might form our games, or how we might completely avoid it. And that's just really interesting. I want to talk about it, all the good sides, the bad sides, everything in between, and everything that might, overall might come up to make love a very important aspect of your D&D game, or a very, shunned aspect of the D&D game. So yeah, if you don't mind, my name is the Dreadful DM. Leave a like and subscribe, and let's get right into it. So when playing D&D, you might create a character that's a little more suave, that has a lot more charisma than you typically might have, a lot more of a people person. So when you're talking, you might be like, hey, yo, what's going on, man? So you might come up to a guy and be like, what the f? I don't know what the hell that was, but yeah, when you're playing a D&D character, you might be a little more charismatic. You want to develop them more and going through different ways. So you might make, these platonic bonds, interactions with different players, NPCs, create a more fulfilling, filled out role, a character in this world. And that might lend you into going to something more like love. And love is a very, tenuous topic in D&D. Some people think it's, it has its place in it, where you can, find a way that it's, a little bit is not too intrusive, not too much, but at the same time, can still be well worth, trying. Other people just downright don't like it in their games because it could be a little weird, because you're not like interacting with random people. In reality, you're talking with your friends, and that can lead to kind of weird situations where you might not realize, and you're kind of risen up your boy Bob over there, like huzzah, huzz, where the huzz at, So it's weird, love is just this topic, this idea that's can very well make or break a game, because you can be having a well thought out story, interaction between the players, between the NPCs, between everybody, but someone might get the idea like, hey, maybe they try to enter aspect of love, maybe like go after this player character or after this NPC, but then that might mess up the vibe for everyone because everyone wasn't really on the same page, and it was like, that's kind of weird because I'm not comfortable with it, but at the same time, maybe as a DM or as a player, you don't want to ruin it for everyone else, so you kind of haphazardly go in, and it kind of gets funky and weird, and that just might pull the whole thing apart. So love is definitely one of those things where it's like, you need a session 0. It's like that typical meme, well, this should have been solved at session 0, so yeah, yada yada yada. Well, this is one of those things where it's like, yeah, typically at least let the groundwork down, like, hey guys, we're not doing this, or hey guys, we're gonna do this, but like, let's not focus too much on it. It's fine, when downtime and stuff like that. It's something you need to talk about with your players, between different NPCs, between the DM, between like how things might change in the middle. Maybe someone might not be comfortable with this. I was like, hey, can we just not do that? I'm kind of not really feeling it right now. It's like, oh, of course, yeah. And how you just want to morph that, how you want to change that, and how you would let love and the interactions morph and, change your game. And I want to focus maybe on a little bit more of the DM side. See, as a DM, it is your responsibility to kind of, focus on the overarching stories and stuff like this. Then between the interactions, some things don't get so heated, or maybe to calm down, or maybe to, indulge the players in some aspect, or to reel them back. And that love falls into that, category very, very well. It's your responsibility to notice that, like, hey, we're focusing too much on this. Or, hey, like, I haven't been, giving you much of the time you expressed to me that there's something you want to do. Let me just add more, a little more, fuel to the fire. Let's talk about it more. Let's have more interaction involving this, particular person you want to start a relationship in the game or whatever. And as a DM myself, I kind of prefer the player between the player and the NPC, because I want my friends flirting with me. No, but it's mostly because as a DM, I have more control. And if something gets a little too uppity or maybe something weird happens, I can personally just shut it down. I can enact the God clause and be like, nope, we're not doing this. That's stopping now. We're not continuing this. I'm sorry. That's weird. It's something that is very easy to do as a DM because at the end of the day, it's mostly your campaign, your stories. So if you're not vibing with something or somebody's being a little too uppity between another player even or something like that, you can stop it. You can be like, hey, I don't like this because X, Y, and Z. Other times though, love can lead to a lot of fulfilling, interesting storylines. Look at Critical Role between that. I don't remember off the top of my head. Not the biggest Critical Role guy, please don't kill me, but I know the whole marriage thing between, was it Jester and someone else? I don't remember. Please don't kill me. But that is like a very popular thing, you know? Love storylines don't have to be this over dramatic thing we see in horror Reddit stories like here, like everything, you know? All those different Reddit stories like, oh, I did this and then the whole world blew up. My whole world is now destroyed because I let this guy do it or whatever, you know? So it can lead to a lot of fulfilling interactions, you know, the more quiet, the slow build of watching, you know, between two different player characters or you and an NPC or something kind of grow and change with how the story develops, how the world changes, and how that can lead to great story moments. Like instead of seeing your friend go down in battle and that might, you know, invigorate you, you see your lover get exploded by like Eldritch Blast or Fireball, and how that might send you into an absolute frenzy, into a straight delirious, you know, anger or something. So that how that might mess up plans, how people might view you differently because of how you react. And it's like maybe you're like, oh, we can't have this happening here, so maybe you shouldn't be this, maybe that, blah blah blah, and how that can change and more of a storyline. And that's really fun, that's really cool. And when love is using that type of way to not to also like give the players enjoyment, but also to service the main story around and how that interacts between also the different players. Love is not just only between the two players there, you know, if it's a whole party, they're going to be interacting with them, and how, you know, different relationship dynamics changes because, okay, well, those two are doing their own thing, so maybe I can't say this or don't do this, and how that might throw another monkey wrench into the plans of everything. That cool shit is so fun. It is so cool, but at the same time, it's very hard to get right because sometimes the players pay too much time and energy just to that one aspect, and that's like, you know, there's other aspects of the D&D world. You're so, you know, enthralled and just like flirting with your homie John that you forget like, hey, there's a dragon over there that we need to like go punk really quick, so give me a second. It's stuff like that. It could be hard as, you know, a DM or even as a player to kind of balance it, you know, on the player side of things. On the player side of things, you want to, you know, have the fulfillment of having different type of relationships, and love is the one that, you know, is very prevalent in a lot of people's lives and what a lot of people want. So you're like, hey, let me do this for my characters, let me get this and this and this. And as a player, you might, you know, substitute actual outside of the game. You might find some, use it inside the game to get that fulfillment you might not be personally getting. We're getting into like some weird, you know, psychology stuff, but at the same time, it's just a matter of understanding of like, hey, this end of the day is a game. Don't put too much emphasis on it. It's cool if you have storylines here and there where you might be flirting casually or, you know, as a little joke towards friends or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's D&D. It's a make-believe world, and you as a player need to understand that this is not one-to-one. You're trying to riz up your boy, you know, Donovan over there, and he's just looking at you like, what are you talking to me? As you're being all suave, you know, yeah, baby girl, and just like a 40-year-old man, like, what, don't call me that. Like that. So love can be a very fulfilling, and can drive storylines to a further extent that might not be possible without it, and that's something good. It can change dynamics within the team, might break some bonds, maybe a forbidden love between two warring factions, you know, classic Romeo and Juliet's things, and how that might change the dynamic or stuff like that. Or it could easily fall into those horror Reddit stories about like how, you know, this guy who flirted with me, but I didn't want to ruin the campaign for everyone, so now this guy kind of harasses me every time we play, and like, that's not fun for anyone. That's not supposed to. The point of the D&D. The point of D&D is a collaborative storytelling game. Emphasis on collaborative. If one person's not really vibing, 1, 2, 3, a lot of people are not like willing to go into this aspect of the story, then there's no point of it. Love is something that's supposed to, you know, be agreed upon between all parties. Hey, consent. Oh, I'm not getting into all that, but, you know, funny thing, I'll leave that there. But it's it's a collaborative story, you know, something that we're supposed to have fun with, you know, something we're supposed to pass time with, spend time with a friend with. It's not supposed to be something you put emphasis only on love, or maybe just throw haphazardly different jokes or dumb things in there. You know, people interact with it different ways. You know, people might want just like, hey, with the fade to black scene, it was like, oh, okay, you know, we might imagine what happens there. No one wants to sit around and hear you weirdly describe a romantic interaction. That shit's weird. I'm not gonna lie, that shit's weird. So, but yeah, love can be a very interesting, it can be a fun, it can be a very, you know, fulfilling topic when you dive into it in a, you know, appropriate in a very respectable manner. But if you just run into it like how some guy might run into a dungeon, it's a little bit hairy, because it's not just only about you're worrying about, you're also affecting the different players in the game. So it's something you gotta, like, you know, balance a little bit out between, you know, 6, 7, you know, yeah, balance me out between, you know, the enjoyment you get, enjoyment players may get, and how it serves the stories all around. So yeah. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. That's kind of a shorter type of video. I just had this idea for Valentine's Day. You know, it's something I was like, oh yeah, I wonder how, you know, people might think about love, and how I thought about it. It's like, hey, you know, how that might, you know, the goods, the bad of it. You know, if you guys want a more in-depth kind of video on it, comment, like, subscribe, tell me I'm a Sigma male. You know what I mean? You know, you like the little suit thing? I bought one nice like outfit, and I will be absolutely abusing it in every single video. I'm gonna get my money's worth out of that, because I don't go too many fancy functions. So I will be getting my money's out, my money's worth out of it. Whatever. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. If you have any, you know, suggested videos in the future, please, you know, leave a comment down below. And yeah, I have nothing else to say. So enjoy the rest of your day. Go for a walk. It's good for yourself mentally, emotionally, and physically. And yeah, you guys have the rest of your day. See ya.